Greetings everybody and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're taking a look at what must be the most unusual challenge lock I've ever had in my lab, and not necessarily because of any modifications that have been made to it, but because of how this lock is from factory. This is the Secure-It padlock, or it's no longer a Secure-It padlock. It's been modified by OTS 149 from UK Sports. OTS is a very nice guy. He put together a practice lock when I was struggling to pick spool pins, and he put together this repinnable lock with spool pins in it, which really did help out a lot. I've also picked one of his challenge locks before. So this is OTS number 3, and I've never heard of Secure-It before actually seeing this lock, and it turns out that they are a Chinese lock manufacturer who make replicas of common locks. So this is a sort of American lock replica, and I have to say that it is extremely heavy. This is heavier than my Squire SS50 padlock. The shackle, it doesn't say hardened on it, and it has quite a few scratches on it, so I'm not sure that this is actually properly hardened, because if it was, this would be a really good lock, because they only cost about just over £10. The core in this lock has been swapped out because the core that comes in it is junk, and it's been swapped for one of these miniature 888 cores made by Abus, which are really fiddly little keyways that tend to be pretty tricky to tension. But here's a strange thing. When I actually got this lock in the mail and I went to put the key in, I thought, alright, that's a bit strange, the key doesn't work. I mean, I expect challenge lock keys to be a little bit crunchy, but this one wouldn't work at all. And I knew that OTS had said something about there being a little bit of spring tension, but I didn't think it would be anything out of the ordinary. However, the spring tension on this lock is ridiculous. I mean, it opened very easily right then. I've had this thing clamped up in the vise and really putting a lot of force on the key. So I'm actually considering getting in touch with the manufacturer of this padlock and suggesting adding a holder on the side of this lock for a broken key extractor, because this lock probably does go through quite a lot of keys. Thankfully these Abus keys are pretty thick, and I'm quite surprised to see that there don't seem to be any bends in this lock. Anyway, so the fiddly little Abus keyway combined with the with the huge spring tension makes this lock a real pain to pick. Now OTS said that he modified the pin slightly, so I don't know to what extent he did that. Now, what I tend to do with these Abus keyways, I like to use this narrowed down southward tension wrench, and it fits in just at the bottom there. You cannot tension these from top of the keyway without absolutely mangling the keyways. So, and by the way, if you're likely to have this lock to pick yourself, then you maybe want to skip this part of the video, because I will be revealing pretty much how to pick it, and hopefully I will be able to pick it myself. Right, so I'm going to go in with a pretty deep hook, because we actually have a low cut pin in chamber 2 and a high one right behind it. So what I do is I set pin 1, seems to be a gatekeeper, we should get a click, like that, and then I tackle the pins at the back of the lock, moving from back to front, or however you like to work. Pin 2 does need a little bit of a brush, but he's probably going to get set as I push this pick to the back of the lock. And I have noticed that the core in this lock does tend to move around quite a lot, so it can be difficult to see what's going on. I must say that this ABUS keyway, although it isn't so paracentric that you can't get a pick into it, because of the jaggy edges, it really does confuse the feedback that you get. So okay, it's hard to describe what's going on here because I am literally just poking about at the back and setting any pins that feel like they need set. Okay, the core has turned a bit there. I'm sorry that you can't really see this a whole lot because the core is so far back there. So what I'm going to try and do is see if this core will rotate or if it's not being picked properly. I just hope there are no... oh, there we go. I just hope there are no delicate pins in this lock. I must say, I think this keyway is probably going to get destroyed pretty soon with the just the heavy spring. It's probably not a very good combination for this kind of challenge lock if you intend on sending a lock like this around the community. Alright, so now I guess we can gut this lock and see what magic Oxford has put inside this. If I did ever buy one of these locks, assuming that the shackle is nicely hardened and modified the changed the core, I would probably have to also take out the spring or change it for a weaker spring. That is literally, it's really ridiculous. Alright, so let's see. The core works very, very nicely, very smooth, and yep, let's see. See if I can reach around and get plug follower and various other bits and pieces. Alright guys, I've just decided to cut out that little section of the video there where I was wrestling with this clip. I was unable to get my clip remover to remove it. I think I need to thin it down a bit. But in the end I got it out with this flathead screwdriver, which is quite fine. So now I'm just going to proceed with the gutting as normal, and I'm just going to wing it and hope that there are no T-pins in here. I received no warning. Whoops. Okay, we've lost a couple of key pins. Alright, so we failed at that, but let's see if we can get these pins back in the right places. That's wrong. Yep, that's right. Okay. So one has... they've actually got a slight lip on them. I'll show this to you afterwards. And get a bit of a backdrop to show you. No core mods as far as I can see. And just bear in mind guys, when you're gutting these things, this portion here with the lip actually faces the front of the locks. When you put the core in, make sure that it lines up with that little cutout portion there. Tweezers. One is serrated, lightly serrated. 2 is a spool. 3 is a heavily serrated pin. 4 is a spool. 5 came flying out of there. 5 is a spool. And 6 is also a spool. I'm not going to remove the springs, but that one at the back is a different type. It's a copper spring, and the one just before that, chamber 5, seems to be very tightly coiled. I think that's probably quite a stiff spring, so that would be why pin 5 came flying out of there. So that probably would have given a lot of resistance during picking. Now let me get a backdrop in here and hopefully show you this very fine lip that's been cut onto the pin. It probably, it would give a little bit of a click there if you tried to pick it, but it wouldn't, I don't think it would get stuck. It would just give you a little bit of crunchy feedback. With the driver pins, this first one again is lightly serrated. Sorry about the lighting. Pin 3 is heavily serrated. I'm not sure if that's a stock factory produced pin or a custom made pin. Very sorry that it's hard to see these pins. That's better. And I don't think the spools have got any modification at all. Anyway, very nice little modification. I mean, you really didn't need to do a whole lot to this lock in order to make it any more difficult to pick, I don't think. But definitely one of the craziest locks I've ever seen. And I mean, the body is very heavy. If the shackle is hardened, then I could probably recommend this lock on the condition that you change the core and don't use any flimsy keys in it. Anyway, a big thank you to Ots4149 for letting me have the first go of picking this lock, other than himself, of course. And a big thank you to all you guys for watching this video. And yeah, hope to see you all again soon in another video.